Now, I know the Hypno Lullaby mod came out a few years ago, but I've been wanting to do some videos where I go back and look at older FNF mods and rank each of their characters from most evil to actually good characters. And while this is one of the first ones on the list, I'm definitely going to go back and do like the old Gorefield mods, some of the Sonic.exe mods, and maybe a few other ones that you guys suggest down in the comments. But starting out with this one, we're going to go with the pure evil category first, and I'm going to put first and foremost Hypno here. Now, I know a lot of people may not agree with Hypno being pure evil, so let me explain. The Hypno on this mod belonged to a trainer named Alexis, and initially he was just a normal happy Pokemon. But after Alexis took her own life, Hypno started to hate all humans.
It's gonna be okay.
And he showed this hate by luring people into the woods with his hypnotizing abilities and then devouring their dreams until they passed away. And just in case I'm not being clear enough, Hypno basically will keep you hypnotized until you die, and then he goes and finds another victim to continue the cycle. And the worst part is that he doesn't care if his victim is a child or an adult. Now, some people that actually know the backstory of this Hypno may argue that he has the right to hate humanity because some people actually made fun of Alexis after she took her own life, which I admit is terrible. But that doesn't justify his hatred for all people. I would have actually been on his side if he had simply gotten revenge on the people who made fun of Alexis. But his actions have gone way too far, which is why he's at the top of the pure evil category. Now, this next character realistically probably should be at the top, but it is Hypno's mod, so he's going to take that slot. But next is going to be Bells, and this is actually the old man from the song called Hell Bell. And to cut to the chase, this guy is a literal demon who is out to take people's souls. In the mod, he basically tries to get Boyfriend to sign a contract with his real name so that he can steal his soul. And if his name sounds familiar, it's because it's a shorter version of the name Beelzebub, who is one of the 7 princes of hell. And the last character that I'm going to put in the pure evil category is going to be a scrap character by the name of the Unknown King. In his original story, if the player completed a ritual in game, the Unknown King would basically be summoned and he would kill all the humans and Pokemons in the game, and then he would come to life and basically kill the player as well. And from my understanding, there isn't even a reason for this senseless violence. Now, during this mod, I'm going to try not to put too many scrap characters on the list because if there is a V3, I'll probably redo this video with all the characters. But if I was adding more scrap characters, Sharon would definitely make it onto the pure evil list because she's basically like the Unknown King, just a little bit better. But with that being said, let's move on to the wicked category, starting with the character called Buried Alive. This character is from a creepypasta and was the final boss for the Pokemon Tower in Lavender Town. If the player lost to him in a battle, Buried Alive would say, "Finally, fresh meat," and then you would get a game over screen, implying that Buried Alive basically devoured the player when he loses. The only reason I didn't place this character into the pure evil category is because he at least gives the player a chance to survive, unlike the characters in the pure evil tier. And for the people that are perceptive, Muck and Gengar are the Pokemon that Buried Alive actually had, like he was their trainer. So they technically fall into the same category as him since they belong to him in a sense. The next character in the wicked category is going to be Perrin, and I struggle with this one a bit. Perrin was just like a normal Jigglypuff back in the day that got attached to a Nurse Joy. And this nurse basically ended up getting very depressed because a lot of Pokemon died under her care. And this pain caused her to take her own life, and when Perrin found the body, they basically turned into a monstrous form of Jigglypuff. Perrin then went out into the woods to find lost trainers, put them to sleep, and then take their souls so that it could use them to bring Nurse Joy back to life. In essence, forcing her to be like a zombie. Not really alive, but definitely not dead. And although Perrin doesn't kill to be evil, considering that so many trainers are children and just generally innocent, I can't put Perrin any lower than Wicked. The last character we'll put in the Wicked tier is going to be Steven from the Strangled Red story. Now, in this character's defense, he was heartbroken because he lost his favorite Pokemon, which was a Charizard, but I don't think that is a good excuse to take out your own brother. And that's the primary reason that I put him into this tier, but also because he brings the Charizard back to life as like an abomination just to have to kill it a second time. So while I do feel bad for him, brother killers have to be in the wicked tier. Next, we're going to move to the bad category, and we're going to start this one off with Shinto. Now, Shinto looks like a bootleg version of Hypno because she technically is. Her developers basically made a fake Pokemon game and created Shinto as a uncatchable Pokemon, which is why she gets so upset when Gray catches her in the mod and actually tries to kill him. This is extra sad when you realize that Gray was a normal kid before he died, and these game developers basically trapped his soul inside the game. But with all that being said, I think that Shinto is just bad because she's simply doing what she was programmed to do, while the game developers are the truly evil ones here. The next character we're going to put into this tier is Glitchy Red, and while I do feel bad for this character, I still have to admit that he's not technically good. In the Glitchy Red story, Red basically realizes that he's become a forgotten and tortured character, but he doesn't understand why it's happening to him. And as a way to vent his anger, he takes his rage out on the player in the story, waiting for the kid to go to sleep so that he can invade his dreams. And while in the dream, Red scratches up the kid's chest and his ribs, which wouldn't have been a big deal if it was just a nightmare. But when the kid woke up, he noticed that the scratches were still there. And this is why Red is in the bad tier. I understand that he's hurting himself, but that doesn't give him the right to actually hurt innocent people. The last character we're going to put into this tier is Disabled, and this one is definitely the tamest in this tier. Disabled was a Wigglytuff that was unable to sing, and in its sadness, it would speak through the Game Boy speaker, asking the player why it couldn't sing. And while it didn't actually hurt the kid, it definitely freaked him out by screaming through the Game Boy. So definitely tame, but I guess you can argue that he gave the kid probably psychological damage. Now, the last category we're going to go with is going to be the good tier, because I don't think any of these characters are really wrong. And I say this mostly because none of these characters actually did any harm to people. The first character in this tier is going to be Red. And the reason that he's in this tier is because he didn't do anything except try to wait on top of Mount Silver for the new champion to come and challenge him. The sad part is that he got trapped on the mountain and had no way of getting down, which is why he and his Pokemon ended up becoming these zombie-like creatures. Next, we have Silver, and just like Red, this guy did nothing wrong. He was simply a character that represented what happens to trainers and their Pokemon once their journeys are over. They basically become forgotten and pushed aside for the next generation of trainers, which is why Feraligatr is actually sleeping and Silver's mouth is sealed shut. Silver is no longer useful, so he's been muffled, and Feraligatr has no more room to grow, so he simply sleeps his life away. Next, we have Gold, who was from the Lost Silver creepypasta, and this kid is just a victim. He basically gets trapped in his Pokemon world and starts to slowly lose his limbs, his mind, and his Pokemon. And while his song was a pain in the butt when it first came out, he didn't actually mean Boyfriend any harm. Missing Number is going to be the last character on this list, and this is just a glitch, so it's obvious that it isn't evil at all, especially when you consider that people have to go out of their way to actually activate the glitch. With that being said, let me know what mod you'd like to see me do a tier list for next. I know a lot of people have been asking about the Mistful Crimson Morning mod, but I was also thinking of Sonic.exe or one of the Gorefield mods. But with that being said, we'll see you tomorrow with another video. Peace, peace.